Well, yeah, that's, I mean, the term that we always use is that's called paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
You know, so you're analyzing everything, you're downloading every course, you're trying to suck up every bit of knowledge that you can get on your newfound career, as it were. But unfortunately, there's so much information floating around on the internet. You know, some of it good, some of it bad, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if you just spend all the time absorbing information and never moving forward, then you end up stuck. You know, one of the things I was just actually writing about was, you know, a lot of people look at a business and they say, you know what, I've got a great book. I've got a fantastic book idea. I'm going to write a book on, you know, whatever it is that their passion is. But then they sit down and they go, okay, well, my book's going to be 500. You know, it's a bit more of a scholastic tome, so I'm going to do a 700-page book. And they sit down and they get, you know, 1 or 2 pages into it. And it's like, oh man. How am I ever going to get to 700 pages? You know, and they've just taken too big of a chunk, you know. So what I actually did is, in that report that I was just talking about, in there I also talked about reverse engineering content. You know, instead of sitting down and trying to write a 700-page book, which is just a massive task, people go about things, you know, kind of backwards in that they're trying to get too much information or they're trying to put too much together before they actually get started. So, you know, a traditional way to look at it is, I'm going to write this fantastic book, and then I'm going to create a website, and then I'm going to sell it because everybody's going to want it. You know, where I think a lot of people, they get overwhelmed by that task, and they finally look at that 700-page book, and it's a year-long task, and they go, I just can't get there from here. You know, so what they need to do is actually break it down. You know, you break a book down into chapters, and you break it down into sections, and then you break it down into points and pages. So applying that to internet marketing, if you take the system that I was talking about, you can actually create a book and a system and content out of just that, you know, because what is a book? I mean, a book is 500 pages. An ebook is 150. Reports are, you know, 10 to 20 pages. Articles are 1 to 2 pages. So if you look at it, a book is actually 3 ebooks. 3 ebooks is, you know, 5 or 10 reports. A report is 5 or 10 articles. So if you look at it that way and you start your online business with your website and you start creating content, but you're basing it all around this structure of using this content for a book down the line, you know, it's easy. You can sit down and say, look, I can write, you know, like Ed says with his content first thing every day, I can sit down and I can write 1 or 2 pages. Not a problem. That's not a really big chunk to bite off. It's something realistic that somebody can work with every day or every couple of days, or, you know, maybe you want to write 5 pages a week. But the thing is, what you're doing is you're creating content for your site. You're creating content to send out there. You're creating content for future buyers to find. And you start building your list or your list of subscribers, and you build this content, and then you start creating reports, and then you send out the reports, and you start creating ebooks. You know, maybe you have a product there and you can sell that to the list you've already grown. And then as your ebooks come along, you can create a full hard copy book and start doing some offline marketing, you know, like interviews and TV shows and stuff like that. And that'll push more people to your site. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble on this.
No. I can see that. It kind of leads to another question I have, which is that looking back now, obviously that's a key insight that you've had that sort of moved you forward. Just pretty much getting into it, breaking it down into small pieces, planning it out, and then just, you know, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, and slowly, you know, just working yourself through what needs to be done. Looking back now over your development, and I know now you've been doing your online full-time now for over 5 years, what are some of the leverage points where, if you look back over your career and having worked with Noel as well, like what are some key things that you guys started to put in place and do that had a big impact on the growth of your business?
Okay, I'll refer back again. You know, unfortunately, one of our own mistakes is that we made. My advice is to plan, again, a big business from the start and hire people before they become an absolute necessity. What I mean by that is, even though you may be able to handle the full workload when everything is going well for your sites, people tend to hamstring their businesses by waiting too long before finding the necessary help, you know, that'll help them free up their time so that they can work on their business and not in it. We saw this about a year back when we added a general manager to run our day-to-day operations, and we added more people to our professional programming team. I mean, things just get done now. You know, instead of trying to outsource our coding and having programmers disappear, I can sit down, talk face-to-face with these guys. And that one thing alone has accelerated our growth and freed up so much time for us. it allows us to go out and do the networking and creating the joint ventures with other marketers. So that was a big leverage point. Secondly, I would have to tell people to keep the company as virtual as you can. And when I say this, I mean completely virtual. The online community we have has created a marketplace whereby the companies that work in it don't actually need a physical storefront, right? We don't need offices in which to greet customers. Currently we ship products all over the world, and one of the best things we ever did was we hired a fulfillment company to handle all our orders. So they do all the fulfillment, the picking, the packing, the shipping of all the physical products that we sell. That actually freed us from having to be in any one spot to do business. We can work from absolutely anywhere that has an internet connection now. So, it's, I guess it was finding the things that freed up our time, and I would recommend that to everybody else. Whether that's so that they have more time available to meet people or do the high level tasks in the company to make it grow, or if you just want to spend time with your family. I mean, after all, isn't that what the internet lifestyle is about?
Yeah. Trying to have that 4-hour work week. So some of those key ones being the hiring of the staff to make sure that things are running. When you say keep things virtual, you just mean by having everything sort of not in a centralized office, but more and using things like fulfillment centers, so that way really you can run your business from wherever you are. One thing you did mention though, you mentioned as far as the way that you work with your programmers, and being able to sit down with them. When you said sit down, was that like a metaphor for chat with them over Skype, or do you have someone in the office as well that you work with?
No, actually, we use independent contracting companies, but they're close by, so I can get them on the phone. I can go and visit with them, and we have lunch. I mean, that's usually how the programming meetings go. Is I end up paying for lunch. So, but yeah, I mean, you can sit down with them. We do outsource a lot of things. We do use Odesk quite a bit. That's a great service to use. We outsource a lot of stuff overseas, but there's just some things that you need to have close by. It's the time versus money thing. We've hired programmers from an outsourcing company a number of times, and unfortunately, when they get frustrated, they just don't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
And when they're on the other side of the world, you can't really do anything about it. And the argument I get from a lot of people is, well, it didn't cost you anything because they didn't get paid. And I have to say, yeah, it did cost us a lot because we've wasted 3 months now.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So that's why I say having the programming team here that I can talk to, and and these guys are my friends now. I mean, we're all friends. We're just friends working together and moving towards a common goal, but to be able to sit down with them and talk to them on the phone is a big plus.
Very cool. I know you mentioned one of the things is bringing yourself up by getting these staff on to give you more time to be able to, do the more of the networking and connecting with the JV partners, because that's obviously a big leverage point as well. Mm-hmm. When it comes to, I know you get along to some different seminars and that sort of thing. When it comes to the world of SEO and online marketing, who do you keep an eye on to, keep on top of current trends?
I mean, for the most part, I'll probably sound like a lot of other people at this point. There's lots of great people out there that have great ideas. Frank Kern, I mean, he's always innovative, interesting to listen to. I like Mike Koenigs. He's really down to earth, has great teachings. The one guy that I find fascinating to listen to is Jeff Johnson.
Yeah, I love his stuff.
Yeah, just by watching him present, and that he's confident in teaching what he knows, and his information is really well thought out, and it's not presented with a bunch of hype. So I really respect him for that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I know you're pretty underground, so if people wanted to keep an eye on what it is that you do, you don't really have a blog, and you deliberately keep yourself out of the limelight, and we've talked about this in the past, the idea of branding your product as opposed to branding yourself as an individual. Did you have any ways, if people want to get in touch? Obviously, if they want to find out about Unique Article Wizard, they can go to theseomethod.com/UAW, which stands for Unique Article Wizard. But are there any other ways people can keep an eye on you?
To be honest, there's not much about me out there. I never really aspired to be in the spotlight, like you say, kind of an underground marketer. There's not. I mean, if people want to contact me, they can contact me through the UAW help desk. I've got my own. They just contact the general help desk, and they'll certainly forward the tickets to me, and we answer back. I mean, our help desk is great. You'll get an answer, within 24 hours. So that's about the best way to contact me is through there. You can get there through the Unique Article Wizard website. So yeah. And if there's any questions you have, feel free to ask them, and I'll certainly get back to you as soon as I can.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. Again, thank you very much for your time. Always very generous and much appreciated. So check out the SEOmethod.com/unique article wizard, and just like to say thanks, Darren, for your time.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it very much.